There's a blue Barilla box in your pantry right now, and the version of it that costs the most has the cheapest ingredient list of the whole lineup. That's legal because of one federal rule, 21 CFR 139.110. In 2024, a judge certified a class action over how Barilla labels those boxes. But the strange part isn't the store brand, it's the expensive one. I'll show you 3 that are genuinely real, including one whose founder invented low-temperature drying in 1889. So today we're walking through 9 spaghetti brands you should walk right past, and 3 that are actually worth your cart. Real dry spaghetti is one thing. Durum wheat semolina and water. Semolina is durum ground coarse, and coarse matters because those bigger particles take on water slowly and build a protein net around the starch. That net is the whole game. It's what makes a noodle hold its shape and hold your sauce. Grinding durum coarse costs more. You lose more of the wheat berry to the finer fractions, the mill runs slower, and the dough is harder to push through the machine. So there's a cheaper option sitting right there. Grind the same durum finer, call it durum flour, and blend it in. Faster to run, cheaper per pound, and the box looks identical. Now the part that actually explains this aisle. Federal Rule 21 CFR 139.110 defines what a company can legally call macaroni products, and it permits semolina, durum flour, farina, plain flour, or any combination of 2 or more of those. Any combination. So the word spaghetti on the front tells you the shape, it does not tell you the wheat. Turn the package around, that's where the answer lives, and it takes 4 seconds. And later I'll show you a 10-second test you can do with your fingers before you even boil water that tells you which kind of machine made the noodle in your hand. Number 9, Creamette. This is the box in the back of the cabinet that's been there since the last time you made a big batch for the whole family. Creamette has been on American shelves for over a century, and the packaging still looks like it did when your mother bought it. Look at the ingredient list. The first ingredient is semolina. The second one is durum flour. That's the downgrade, sitting right there in position 2, and almost nobody reads down that far. At Walmart right now, a 3-pack of the 32-ounce boxes runs $8.82, which works out to about $1.47 a pound. That matters because you're paying name brand money for a blend. What you get is a noodle that goes soft a full minute earlier than the box says, and turns the water milky while it cooks. That cloud is starch leaving the pasta instead of staying inside it. Finer flour drinks water faster, the protein net never sets up properly, and the sauce slides off instead of grabbing on. You'll see it on the plate. Sauce pooling at the bottom of the bowl while the noodles sit there naked. And I want to be precise about what this is and isn't. Nobody put a mystery grain in your spaghetti. It's durum. It's just durum that went through a cheaper grind. And the box gives you no way to know how much of it is in there because ingredient order tells you the ranking and never the ratio. It could be 40%, it could be 5%. That's the part the rule protects. If you've been buying this every week for the last year, you've spent roughly $76 on a semolina and flour blend that's priced like straight semolina. Now, the next brand has the exact same second ingredient, but it's wearing a very different costume. Number 8, American Beauty. This is the one on the bottom shelf that looks like the humble, honest choice. American Beauty is a Riviana Foods brand. It's been around since the 1800s, and the name does a lot of quiet work. American Beauty. Sounds like a farm, not a factory. Turn it around. Semolina, then durum flour. Same 2-ingredient shuffle as Creamette. Same position, same effect. At Walmart, a 2-pack runs $2.66, so about $1.33 a box. And that is the part that bothers me. It isn't that a blend exists. Blends are fine if you price them like blends. The problem is that the box tells you nothing and costs about the same as the stuff that isn't blended. Cooked, it's a softer, flatter noodle. Fine in a casserole where everything gets baked together and covered in cheese anyway. Noticeably mushy the second you try to twirl it with a light sauce, and worse the next day because a weak protein net keeps absorbing water in the fridge overnight. That's why the leftovers come out pasty when you reheat them. And here's the detail I keep coming back to. I pulled the ingredient panels on 4 different American spaghetti brands, sitting on 4 different shelves at 4 slightly different prices. Creamette, American Beauty, San Giorgio, and one more we'll get to. Semolina, durum flour. Semolina, durum flour. Word for word in the same order every time. So the choice you think you're making between brands is frequently not a choice at all. It's the same formula in 4 different fonts. A year of weekly boxes puts you around $69 into a product that never once told you what it was. And this is where the shelf gets weird, because the next brand has an Italian name and was born in Pennsylvania. Number 7, San Giorgio. Say that one out loud. That is a name engineered to make you picture a hillside in Italy. It's a Pennsylvania pasta brand. And the ingredient list reads exactly like the 2 you just saw: semolina, wheat, durum flour, wheat, then the enrichment vitamins. At Walmart, the Fin Spaghetti 2-pack is $2.66, about $1.33 a box. So you're paying for the Italian name and getting the same domestic blend that's in the box 2 shelves down with the American flag energy. They're banking on you reading the front and never the back. That's not an accident, that's a design decision. Somebody sat in a room and chose that name, and it worked, because for decades this has been one of the top-selling pasta brands on the East Coast. And notice what the name is not doing. It never says made in Italy, it never says imported. It doesn't have to, because the name itself does the job, and a name isn't the claim, so there's nothing on that box a regulator could ever call false. That's the whole trick, not lying. Just arranging the truth so your eye finishes the sentence for them. In the pot, it's the same story as the last 2. Compared to soft, early, cloudy water, and a strand that goes limp under a heavy meat sauce instead of standing up to it. Weekly for a year, that's around $69, and the only thing you actually bought that was Italian was the font. If this is already saving you from a bad shop, do me a favor and hit subscribe. We publish one of these every week. And now the twist I did not expect when I started pulling boxes, because the cheapest spaghetti in the entire store has a cleaner label than all 3 of these. Number 6, great value. This is the 99-cent box you've been feeling a little guilty about. Great value spaghetti at Walmart is $1.24 for 16 ounces, and when you turn it around, the ingredient list is semolina, then niacin, iron, thiamine, riboflavin, folic acid. That's it. No durum flour, no blend. Read that again because it reverses everything you assume about this aisle. The store brand is using straight semolina, while 3 brands that cost more are cutting theirs. So why is it on the skip list at all? Because of everything the box doesn't say. There's no dye material, no drying time, no temperature, no mill, no country, nothing about how it was actually made. And in this business, if you slow dry your pasta or push it through bronze, you print that on the front in large letters because it's the only thing you can charge extra for. Silence is an answer. Cook it and you'll see what I mean. The strands come out slick, almost shiny, and a light olive oil and garlic sauce just runs straight off them into the bottom of the bowl. Smother it in something thick and you'd never notice, which is exactly what most of us do and exactly why nobody complains. So this is the one I'd call honestly cheap instead of dishonestly cheap. It tells you what's in it, it charges you the least in the store, and it does not pretend to be a hillside in Tuscany. If your budget is the thing driving this decision, this beats 4 of the boxes that cost more. At $1.24 a week, you're spending about $64 a year, which is the least anyone in this video is asking you for. Remember that $1.24 because the next brand charges you more for less, and it's been doing it since 1915. Number 5, Ronzoni. This is the box people buy because their family always bought it. Ronzoni goes back to 1915, an Italian immigrant name, and the branding still leans on that hard. Ronzoni is now owned by 8th Avenue Food and Provisions, a Post Holdings company, which picked up the brand and its Winchester, Virginia plant in a $95 million deal in 2021. And the ingredient list is semolina, then durum flour. At Walmart, it's $1.48, so it costs 24 cents more than the Great Value box and gives you a longer ingredient list to do it. You are paying a premium for the heritage on the front, while the back quietly does the label game. In the pot, it behaves like the rest of the blends. Softens fast, clouds the water, goes limp if you walk away from the stove for 90 seconds. And that's the label game in its purest form. The brand isn't charging you for a better noodle, it's charging you for 1915. For the immigrant story, the name, the box your mother had in her cabinet, that story is genuinely real and it genuinely happened. It just doesn't live in this factory anymore, and it has nothing to do with what's in the pasta today. Look at the two boxes next to each other and ask which one is actually being honest with you. One costs $1.24 and puts one kind of wheat in the bag. The other costs $1.48, puts two in, and spends the difference on heritage. 52 boxes a year is about $77. Bethesda, $13 more than the store brand for a shortcut the store brand didn't take. Now this next one is the brand people defend in the comments, and the receipt isn't the ingredients at all, it's the shape of the noodle. Number 4, Mueller's pot-sized spaghetti. And I want to be fair here because regular Mueller's is 100% durum semolina, clean label, no blend, genuinely one of the better mass market boxes in the aisle. Then there's the pot-sized box. Same brand, same durum semolina, same wheat, same everything. The only difference is that the noodles are cut shorter so they fit in a smaller pot. At Walmart, regular Mueller's works out to $1.48 a box in the 2-pack. The pot-sized 2-pack is $4.96, which is $2.48 a box. Same 16 ounces, same ingredients, $1 more for a shorter noodle. That's a 67% markup, and the thing you're paying for is a cut. Not an ingredient, not a process, not a grain. A pair of scissors. I actually like this one as an example because there's no villain in the ingredient list at all. The pasta is good, the wheat is right, nobody downgraded anything. They just found a convenience worth $1 to a lot of people and priced it accordingly. And the box never once suggests you're paying extra for shorter noodles. It says pot-sized. It sounds like a feature, not a fee. And this is where you start seeing the pattern across the whole aisle. Sometimes they charge you for the wheat, sometimes they charge you for the name, sometimes like here they charge you for the length. The one constant is that the front of the box never explains which one is happening. Weekly for a year, that's about $129 versus $77 for the identical pasta in the longer box. $52 a year to avoid breaking spaghetti in half with your hands. And the last 3 brands are all the same company because you asked. Every time we do one of these, the comments say the same thing. Why isn't Barilla on this list? Fine, let's do Barilla. Number 3, Barilla gluten-free. Start here because this is the box that ends up in carts that don't need it. If you have celiac disease, this product exists for a real reason, and I'm not going to make fun of it. But plenty of people buy it because the box reads healthier, and that's a different conversation. It isn't wheat, it's corn and rice, which means by the Italian legal definition of dry pasta, it isn't pasta at all, and under the American rule, it can't use the macaroni product standard either. And look at the box size, 12 ounces, not 16. At Walmart, it's $2.62, which is $3.49 a pound. The regular blue box is $1.84 a pound, so you're paying nearly double per pound for corn. Texture-wise, it's the thing everybody says about it. It goes from firm to pasty in about 90 seconds. There's no forgiving window at all, and the leftovers set up like glue in the fridge. Corn and rice have no gluten, which is the entire point, but gluten is also the thing that was building that protein net. Take it out and the starch has nothing holding it in. And notice the 12-ounce box because that's the move I want you watching for from here on. When a company wants a higher price without a higher price tag, it doesn't touch the number on the shelf. It takes an ounce or two out of the package and lets you keep seeing the same familiar figure. Your brain compares the price. It almost never compares the weight. If you need this product, buy it. But check the ounces on every box in that section because gluten-free is where the shrinking happens hardest. At $2.62 a week, that's $136 a year, and you're getting 39 pounds of pasta instead of 52. But the box that cost this company an actual courtroom is the plain blue one. Number 2, Barilla Classic, the blue box. This is the one that will make some of you angry because the ingredient list is clean. Barilla Classic is semolina and enrichment vitamins, no durum flour, 7 grams of protein per 2-ounce serving. On the label alone, it beats Ronzoni, San Giorgio, Creamette, and American Beauty. The problem is the front of the box. For years, those boxes carried the line, Italy's #1 brand of pasta. In 2022, 2 California shoppers sued, pointing out that the pasta in that box is made in Barilla's plants in Ames, Iowa, and Avon, New York, with wheat that isn't necessarily Italian either. In 2024, a federal court certified it as a class action. As of this year, the case is still being fought, with the judge signaling he may side with Barilla on the grounds that the phrase is too vague to be legally false. Sit with that defense for a second. Not, it's true, too vague to be false. In Italy, the law is blunt about this. Dry pasta sold there has to be durum wheat semolina, full stop. Over here, 21 CFR 139.110 lets you use semolina, durum flour, farina, or plain flour and still print the word spaghetti. Just not here. And I want to give Barilla its due because you all asked about this brand and it deserves a straight answer. In the pot, the blue box holds up. 7 grams of protein, one kind of wheat, a strand that stays firm if you pull it a minute early. It is not the villain of this aisle. What it did was sell you a country. And when 2 shoppers said so in court, the defense wasn't, the pasta is Italian. The defense was that the sentence was too slippery to pin down. That's the receipt. At $1.84 a box, weekly, that's about $96 a year, and you're getting real semolina for it. Which is exactly what makes the last one so hard to explain. And number 1, Barilla Protein Plus. This is the box on the top shelf with the tan label that says plant-based protein, made from lentils, chickpeas, and peas. It is aimed straight at anyone over 50 who has been told to eat more protein. Turn it around. Semolina. Then durum wheat flour, then lentil flour, pea protein, chickpea flour, barley flour, spelt flour. Look at what just happened. The blue box, the cheap one, is straight semolina. The premium box, from the same company, put durum flour in the number 2 slot. They took the shortcut out of the budget product and put it in the expensive one. That's the mystery from the top of this video, and that's the answer. It was never the cheap brand. Now the price. It's a 14.5 ounce box, not 16, and it's $2.84 at Walmart. That's $3.13 a pound, against $1.84 for the blue box. 70% more per pound for the lesser ingredient list. And now look at the protein claim, because this is the last piece. 17 grams, enormous number, except it's measured on a 3.5 ounce serving, and every other box in that aisle prints its protein on a 2 ounce serving. Put them on the same scale, and the gap shrinks to a few grams. Real, but nothing like what that front label is selling you. So add it up. Smaller box, higher price per pound, a downgrade in the number 2 ingredient that the cheap version doesn't have, and a protein figure measured on a bigger spoon than everybody else's. 4 separate decisions, all pointing the same direction, on one box aimed at people whose doctor told them to eat more protein. Not one of them is illegal. Nothing in this aisle breaks a rule. The rules were just written with a lot of room in them. Weekly for a year, $148, for less pasta in a smaller box with the shortcut in it. Here's the test I promised, and you don't need to boil anything to start it. Take 1 dry strand out of the box and rub it between your thumb and finger. Then look at your fingertips. If you see a chalky white dust, that noodle was pushed through a bronze die. Bronze is rough. It tears the surface of the pasta on the way out and leaves microscopic ridges, and those ridges are what sauce actually grabs onto. If your fingers come away clean and the strand looks glossy, almost plastic, that's a Teflon die. Smooth, fast, cheap to run, and sauce slides right off it. Second half. When you cook it, ladle a little of the pasta water into a clear glass. If it's cloudy enough that you can't see through it, that starch came out of your noodle instead of staying in it. That's the finely ground flour doing exactly what I said it would. Chalky fingers and clearer water means the protein net held. Slick fingers and milky water means it didn't. Run this on whatever is in your cabinet tonight. It takes 10 seconds and it will tell you more than the entire front of the box. Now, if you've made it this far, here's the payoff. 3 spaghetti brands that are actually what they say they are, and one of them costs less per pound than that Barilla Protein Plus box you are about to put in your cart. But the surprise isn't that the real ones are better, it's how old the methods are. All 3 were doing it this way before your grandparents were born, and none of them stopped. Real pasta number 3, Rusticella d'Abruzzo. In 1924, a man named Gaetano Sergiacomo started making pasta from wheat he ground at his family's stone mill in Penne, a small town in Abruzzo. The factory went quiet for decades. Then in 1981, his daughter, Nicolina Peduzzi, restarted it and named the line Rusticella d'Abruzzo. They push it through bronze dyes and dry it in low temperature air for roughly 50 hours. 50. Industrial lines do it in 4 to 6 with hot air. The reason nobody copies this is that drying time is warehouse time, and warehouse time is the most expensive thing in a pasta factory. Every hour that pasta sits on a rack, it's costing them money instead of shipping. The proof is on the package and in your hand. It says bronze dye, and when you do the finger test on a strand, it leaves the most dust of anything in this video. The reviews all land in the same place. People say it's the first pasta where they finally understood what everyone meant about sauce sticking. This is the specialty store one. Italian markets, cheese shops, better grocers, and online. Look for the plain craft-colored bag with the red script, not a box. Number 2. Rummo. Founded in 1846 by Antonio Rummo in Benevento near Naples, and still made in the same town by the same family more than 175 years later. Their method has a trademark name, lenta lavorazione, which just means slow working. Bronze dyes, slow mixing, and gradual low-temperature drying with the timing controlled at every stage. Slow mixing alone means fewer boxes per shift off the same machine, and that's the cost. They chose fewer boxes. And here's something no other pasta company has done. Rummo had Bureau Veritas, an independent global certification body, certify its cooking performance. Not a taste award, an outside auditor verifying the pasta holds up when you overcook it. That's your package checkable proof. The lenta lavorazione mark is printed right on the front. What people say about it is consistent. They forget it on the stove, come back late, and it still has bite. At Walmart, the 4-pack runs $19.99, so about $5 a pound, and it's carried nationally at Whole Foods. Look for the cream bag with the dark blue band, usually on the shelf above the boxes. And if this ranking is useful, hit the like button. It really helps the channel cut through the algorithm. And number 1, Deceptive, 1886 Fara San Martino in the mountains of Abruzzo. The Deceptive family had been milling there since 1831, and in 1889, Filippo Deceptive built the first machine designed to dry pasta slowly at low temperature. He didn't adopt the method, he invented it. 137 years later, they still do it. 12 to 50 hours of drying depending on the shape, and bronze draw plates, which they kept even though faster and cheaper options have existed for most of a century. There's real science under this. When you blast pasta dry with high heat, you trigger the Maillard reaction inside the noodle and damage lysine, one of the amino acids the wheat protein depends on. Food scientists measure that damage with a marker called furacine. Low temperature drying keeps furacine low. High temperature drying pushes it up, and nobody on the skip list prints a drying temperature anywhere on the box. Your proof is printed on the front. Bronze drawn, slow drying. Both claims, in writing, on a box sitting in a normal supermarket. The reviews are almost boring in how much they agree. People say it doesn't fall apart, and that they can't go back to the blue box afterward. At Walmart, the 6-pack is $30.07, about $5 a pound, and single boxes are in most major chains. Look for the blue box with the yellow banner and the number 12 on the front. And here's the kicker. If you have semolina flour and eggs, you can make fresh spaghetti yourself in about 30 minutes of hands-on time. We'll put the method in the description. Here's the one thing worth remembering. Barilla's cheap blue box is 100% semolina, and the Protein Plus box they charge 70% more per pound for has durum flour as its second ingredient. Worst skip is Barilla Protein Plus. Smaller box, higher price, worse label, and a serving size quietly resized to make the protein number look bigger. Best real is Deceptive. Bronze drawn, slow dried, $5 a pound, sitting in a regular supermarket. Next grocery run, do one thing. Turn the box around and read ingredient number 2. If it says durum flour, put it back. Next week, we found something on the label of a national peanut butter brand that genuinely shocked us, and it's the second ingredient on a jar that sits in about 3/4 of American pantries. Drop the brand you still trust in the comments. We're building the list together. Hit subscribe if this changed how you shop today. We'll see you in the next aisle.